So good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I'm so excited you're all here. This is great. Abundant giving, abundant living. So here at the Center for Spiritual Living Modesto, we are thoroughly committed to being a catalyst for personal and collective transformation in which the heart is opened to experience God's profound love and joy, and in which divinely inspired dreams are made manifest. This is who we are. This is what we're really all about. And if you think about distilling all of our teachings down to specific practices, I propose that there are 9 of them. And when they are experienced in tandem, they support us in living from a God-centered nature with our hearts open and our visions and our dreams made manifest. So as we say every Sunday, we offer tools for successful living based on spiritual principle. And these tools are proven to work because they are based on truth. But we really do not want you to take our word on it. We really don't. We want you to, if you choose, prove it for yourself. And so this month we're going to explore what we are calling the Divine 9. So you don't have to spend all month wondering about what the Divine 9 are. Here's a list of them in no particular order. Meditation, visioning, spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer, visualizing, affirmations, gratitude, forgiveness, sacred service, otherwise known as seva, and sacred giving, otherwise known as tithing. So, there they are. The 9 sacred divine practices that will take us upward around that evolutionary spiral of consciousness. And this month, we will bring each of them alive in our lives. So where do we go today? Well, we're going to begin with a Sufi story. It's a Sufi teaching and then a story. So for many of you, you may just get a hint of which of the Divine 9 we're going to explore today. The Sufi teaching goes this way. Past the seeker, as he prayed, came the crippled and the beggar and the beaten. And seeing them, the seeker cried, "Great God, how is it that a loving creator such as you can see these things and do nothing about them?" God said, "I did not do nothing about them. I sent you." That's the Sufi teaching. And the story goes like this. One Sunday morning, as the congregation filed into the little Catholic church in a plaza called Santa Rosa, there was a loud intake of breath, a unified gasp. The statue of Jesus stood in the corner as usual, but vandals had entered the chapel and broken off its hands. After Mass, the priest organized a committee of parishioners to investigate the crime and began raising money to buy another statue. The following Sunday, as the congregation filed in again for Mass, there was another loud intake of breath. But this time it was a gasp in awe, for they saw a sign hanging from around the statue's neck. It was carefully hand-lettered, and it read, "I have no hands but yours." Think of the beautiful words that we just sang of Karen Drucker's song earlier this morning. I am the heart, I am the hands, I am the voice of spirit on earth. And who I am and all I do is a blessing to the world. So let's make that into a slightly tweaked affirmation, because I like to do that. I am the heart, I am the hands, I am the voice of spirit on earth. And who I am and all I do is a blessing to me and to the world. So let's say that together. I am the heart.
I am the heart.
I am the hands.
I am the hands.
I am the voice of spirit on earth.
I am the voice of spirit on earth.
And who I am
And who I am.
and all I do
And all I do.
is a blessing to me and to the world. It is through giving of ourselves in the form of our time and our talent and our treasure in sacred service and in the form of our treasure in sacred giving that we reenact the loving givingness of God and therefore express our own divine nature. And that is so important. I want to say it again. It is through giving of ourselves in the form of our time and talent and in sacred service and in the form of our treasure in sacred giving that we reenact the loving givingness of God and therefore express our own divine nature. And isn't that what we're really here for? Isn't that what we're here to do? To express our divine nature in the highest way possible. And to help us do that today, we're going to explore 2 items on our Divine 9 list known as seva, which is the Sanskrit word meaning sacred service, and tithing, otherwise known as sacred giving. So first, seva, or sacred service. When you hear seva, or the idea of service, your mind might immediately jump to volunteerism. You know, when people volunteer, right? And yes, there are plenty of opportunities to volunteer everywhere you look. Everybody wants you to join in on something and volunteer to do this or help out with that. And it's, you know, there's opportunities here and beyond the walls, really, of our community. And the practice of sacred service, or seva, is that for sure, but it truly goes beyond that. It is not something we do in addition to everything else we are doing in our lives. It isn't another chore or another task. It is something that we do while we are going about the normal business of everyday living. In India, there lived a revered saint by the name of, and I'm going to try this, Ramakrishna. People came from everywhere around to seek his wisdom. One day, a very old woman came to sit at Ramakrishna's feet, and she said, "Ramakrishna, my time is short on this earth. I fear that I have never known the divine. I fear death. I believe I'm too old to start a spiritual practice now. What should I do?" Ramakrishna thought for a moment and asked her, "What do you love?" The old woman immediately lit up. "I love my little grandson. He is everything to me." "There is your spiritual practice," said Ramakrishna. "Love him and see the divine in him." That is seva. That is sacred service, right there. That doesn't seem that hard, does it? Seeing the divine in all you come and in whom you encounter. Seeing the divine in all. Treating them with loving kindness and helpfulness. In Ideas for Living, Ernest Holmes wrote, "We should give of ourselves in love and in service to others, in a spirit of generosity and good fellowship. To refuse to give is to refuse to receive. To refuse to give is to refuse to receive. For everything moves in circles. Real giving is the givingness of the self. A kind word, a thoughtful act, perhaps just a smile, can help lighten the burdens of others." The spiritual practice of selfless service, seva, truly is one of the simplest and yet profound and life-changing ways that we can put our spiritual knowledge into action. How simple is that, right? After all, what good is our spiritual knowledge if it does not change the way we live and interact with others on a daily basis? So let me take a moment to honor a few people who embody seva. Suzanne, right here, who has spent many, many hours keeping our books and our finances in good order here for the center, yes, as well as promoting our center. She takes a handful of flyers and whatever and spreads them out and releases them. And she actively shares our message everywhere she goes. And she's always aware for something new to bring back to our center to share with others. And we have Patricia, who has served on our board more than once. She's been our secretary twice now, and she's now our wonderful and very, very thorough secretary. She's awesome. She brings great ideas and new ideas and life experiences and an abundance of energy to our center. And we have Joy, who is also on our board and offers her knowledge of energy and how energy works within us and how we can use it to align our lives in so many ways. And she leads a healing circle after our service for anyone who's interested. And that's a wonderful gift. Thank you. And then there's Rich, who supports me and our center in countless ways. He's just pretty much all around wonderful. So that is the spiritual practice of seva. You are the heart. You are the hands. You are the voice of spirit on earth. And who you are and all you do is a blessing to this world. So now for number 2, sacred giving, also known as the practice of tithing, which I know is kind of a 4-letter word in some circles, but we're looking at the spiritual aspects, the spiritual practice of that, and we're going to explore that. So tithing acknowledges in one of the most tangible ways that we can that God is our source and God is our only source. It is a practice in which we absolutely walk the talk. We don't just talk the talk. We walk the talk. Through tithing, we say to ourselves and to the universe, I trust that God is my source, and I put my money where my mouth is. Meister Eckhart, German mystic of the late 1200s who taught about the union of the individual soul with God, once said these profound words: "There is nothing else a man can do that is so beautiful as to put complete trust in God. God never failed anyone who trusted him greatly, but rather by them he does great things." And as long as you know, act, live, and breathe that God is your source, you will be blessed. It is when you turn from God as the source and depend on people and conditions for your blessings that challenges multiply. People and conditions are channels of your supply. To be sure, they're channels. Your job, that's a channel. But God is the source. The founder of Unity, Charles Fillmore, once wrote, "Tithing is based upon a law that cannot fail, and it is the surest way ever found to demonstrate plenty, for it is God's own law and way of giving. But by the act of tithing, men make God their partner in their financial transactions and thus keep the channel open from the source in the ideal to the manifestation in the realm of things." To be clear, what is a tithe? Literally, the word tithe means 10%. So a tithe is 10% of your financial goods shared with those who are doing God's work in the world, with those who remind you of the truth of who you are, and with those whose work you want to see flourish and prosper so it can continue to bless the world and you. So perhaps you're thinking, this is all sounding great and wonderful, but I just can't afford to tithe. And there is a statement that more than one person has uttered, including me, when I first started studying prosperity. In response to it, Catherine Ponder, our wonderful author of the book that Rich was talking about, her quote was, she wrote, "Then you cannot afford not to." I love the double negatives. You cannot afford not to. The greater the present financial necessity, the greater the need for immediately invoking the power of tithing. So let's look at it this way. All of our good, all of our money is really God's, right? And when we tithe, we get to retain and use 90% of it, leaving only 10% with the source. 90% of it is ours to retain, and that is a lot. So let's just see how much that is. I've asked a number of people to play with me today, and you all know who you are, right? So I've asked them to bring to service today 10 like items, such as 10 baseball caps. We've got some other items, and I'd like you to come forward right now with your items and put them on the table, and the table has signs on them. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to put, one, and then 90% and 10%. Put them in the piles.
Move this back now so we can make room. Let's see.
Portuguese.
Can I just leave them in the dish?
Yes.
Yeah, that would be easier.
Leave those in the dish.
Yeah, there's your all
We need a bigger table.
there.
Wondering where the was.
It's like, where do I find 10 of something, right?
No, I didn't have to think twice.
Did you go on your Christmas thing?
Yeah, but I didn't know how deep they were.
There we go. Okay.
More handsome. All athletic. So for you Giant fans, I'm really sorry.
Wow, that's a lot on the 90% side of the table, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's what you get to use. This is what you get to use on this side. This is what's yours to use and to enjoy.
We get to keep everybody else's 90%, so what do you mean?
Here's the beautiful, miraculous, glorious thing that happens when we engage in the Divine Nine activity, this activity of sacred giving. More will be added from unexpected channels. Unexpected income. Now that is exciting. That is fun. That is fun. So I want to make you an offer today, an offer that perhaps you just can't refuse. But before I do that, I want to play a little video. So I'm going to stop the recording because